music. It's very important to me. And I just want to know why it's very important to you.
It's interesting. I come from a family of music lovers, but not so much a family of musicians. Although my mom did grow up in a house with a piano, and I think her and all of her siblings four siblings took piano lessons growing up. My dad, knew how to play the radio. That was about it. But they had a record collection that, because I was born in 76. I just turned 49. And so growing up, my first experience listening to music was mostly records, mostly LPs, vinyl. And so as soon as I was old enough and tall enough to learn how to use the record player, I could put on any record I wanted whenever I wanted, and I could make mixtapes, which was an art that my dad taught me pretty early on. And so it was a lot of classic rock and some like Motown and blues and funk and folk. But I was the only one. Does that make sense? Like my mom, by the time we moved to the suburbs, there was a piano in the house, and my mom thought she was going to take some lessons, and she tried for a bit, but it just didn't fit in with her schedule as a working mom. And so there was a piano at home, and a lot of music in the house, but not a lot of people playing instruments. But my uncle Phil was a drummer. And in the 5th grade, towards the end of the year, as we were getting ready to sign up for our middle school classes, they passed around, I'll never forget it, a yellow piece of paper that had a picture and a short description for each instrument that was available for us to play in middle school band, right? And so, trumpet, saxophone, flute, trombone, etc., clarinet, and then the picture of a snare drum. And I thought, that's what I want to do, right? And I don't think I had any idea what that was going to look like in the school setting. I think I thought I was maybe going to get to play a drum set. I don't know what I thought, but, school band. So it was just a big group of kids in 6th grade hitting pads. And my band director was terrifying. It was generally not a happy man. And so, but despite that, I stuck with it. And as soon as I had enough money cobbled together from my newspaper route, I bought my first drum set in 8th grade.
Yes, sir.
And it was a white pearl export 5-piece drum set. Sir. And I think I gravitated to music despite not really having, anybody really playing instruments around me at home. I was a pretty depressed kid generally. And I think music was an escape I know music was an escape for me from that sort of darkness. And it kind of helped me understand that darkness, I think. And so, from as long ago as I can remember, when it was a Walkman, right? Portable cassette player. And then it was a Discman, like a portable CD player. As soon as I was old enough and had enough allowance money saved up to buy one of those, I was blasting music in my ears every chance I got. I mean, as loud as possible, for as long as possible. As soon as the last bell rang, from the moment that I walked out the door, got on the bus, rode all the way home until I walked into my house, I was listening to music. Walking to the bus in the mornings, any chance I got, I was listening to music. And in the 90s, when I was a teenager, it was a pretty cool time to be into rock and roll music because there was a lot of really exciting kind of guitar-driven rock and roll happening. A lot of the bands out of Seattle, and so that was an exciting time because prior to that, I only really listened to classic rock. A lot of the 80s pop music, I kind of missed the first time. I came back around to a lot of it later, but for a while, if it didn't have a guitar, I didn't really care. And I wasn't even a guitarist, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I guess that's why music's important to me. my parents were both raised with some amount of religious upbringing, but they chose not to raise me and my brother with any sort of religion. And although, I definitely I think there's some issues with organized religion. I do think faith and spirituality can really help people through tough times. But I didn't have that. So music was my religion. Music was my hobby. Music was my therapist. Music, you know what I mean? It fed me in so many different ways. So, ever since then, I've just been trying to give back.
And you do. Dude, you do.
I do what I can. Thank you.
That part. You're somebody to look up to.
I appreciate that.
I truly mean that.
Thanks.
Man. I admired you ever since I saw you hit the fucking drums. I was like, who is this man? Dude, does he play for ZZ Top? What is this beard, dude? This guy's awesome.
Yeah, the beard's a little shorter now, but
dude, I was so ecstatic when I met you. I was like, dude, I'm talking to a rock star. I love you. I really do. You're one of the people who, when I'm going through a hard time, I remember certain things that we've talked about in certain settings that just make me feel whole. When I look back at it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm able to do what I'm supposed to do. There's people that believe in me.
Yeah.
Actually,
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've supported me every step of the way, man. Like, when I opened Create Fridays, you came up.
Oh, yeah.
And you literally, you were just there, man. You were just there. And you made it known to me that, hey, you need something. I'm here, dude. You've said words to me like that before in the past. And even though I never hit you up to be like, yo, I need this or that. But, you meant the world. It's stuff that money can't buy. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
You never know what people go through. And then you decided to just say something kind because you are a kind person. Dude, what you do for the kids in education, you are a true star, man. You're an actual star. Not a rock star, not, a star. Somebody who is shiny.
I appreciate that.
You have light, dude.
What?
You know what the darkness is.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think mostly my mission is just, I think it's really fun to give folks, it's not just young folks. Some of my students are my age or older, but most of my students are young. And I just think it's really fun to give people opportunities that I didn't have. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of being a teacher for me is to be, what is the thing that they say? To be try to be the person that you needed. Which is not to say that I didn't have a lot. You know what I mean? I had a lot of support. My parents were both, there and both supportive in my music, even though they knew it was going to be difficult for me to make a living. They both encouraged and supported me. And so it's not like I'm saying oh, I came from nothing. And, I've been very fortunate, but still, right? You can always do better. You can always give more. And I think that's what's fun about getting to run this place, is I get to make those decisions about how to create more opportunities for young people to make more music. It's really cool.
I don't think your parents made a mistake by becoming some good people. Isn't that the point?
Yeah.
To be able to give your kids the life that they need and deserve.
Yeah.
As parents, I feel bad for my generation trying to have kids with the way things are. Apparently it's weird, but let's talk about music. This is great. You were talking about music. Sorry,
Sure.
I didn't like where I was going to take the conversation, but please continue. Sorry. I just wanted to say that about your parents being fortunate in your life where you had the support system that you needed to truly become such a pillar in our community, in this community for music and musicians and people. You're awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Did you say this thing was going to click when?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I keep an ear out for it.
It's loud enough, honestly.
Okay.
Because it's a 10-year-old kid. I love this kid. Thank you, man.
What else do you want to know?
I want to know about your bands.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's two projects that I play in right now that I would consider them to be bands that I'm invested in and committed to.
Yes, sir.
One of them is Ari Vox and the Sad Lads, and Ari is, I would describe her music as kind of genre fluid. Although it's at first listen, a lot of the stuff is obviously very much pulling from like 80s synth pop. But she has a background in jazz, and she studied lots of different types of music, and listened to a lot of different types of music. So I think she likes to call it dream pop, but I think stylistically there's a lot more going on in influence wise. And Ari's an incredible performer and singer, and I really enjoy her songwriting. And it's a 4-piece, drums, bass, guitar, and voice. Although both our bassist and guitarist also play synths sometimes as needed. And then I usually run tracks from behind the kit. So that's that project. And then the other one that I'm involved in right now is a rock band called GXB. That is anywhere from a trio to a 6-piece, depending on who shows up. But at the core, it's me and my friend Guy Bushy. He's the songwriter.
Phenomenal guitar player too, dude.
He's a great player. Yeah. I met Guy here actually before we took over Vanguard. I taught for the school that was here decades and decades before that. But for 19 years, I was a teacher here before we took it over. And he was one of the last front desk people to work here before the turnover. And he's quite young. He's 24, wow. 25. And so when I met him, he was barely 21, I think. And I could just tell from some of the songs he showed me that there was a lot of potential there. And I encouraged and helped him. But he's also worked his butt off to become a better singer and a better writer and a better guitar player. And
it shows.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, and he's become a real good friend. He and I are kind of the nucleus of the band. We've had a couple different drummers. I play bass in that band. Yes. Although a lot of the demos do include my drumming, and we have played some shows where I played the drums just because if we needed to play a show and we couldn't find a drummer, but we could find a bassist, then I would just fill that chair, which is convenient. But I really enjoy, I sing a lot of backups with that band. And Guy does all the writing, but I do a fair amount of helping with arrangements. And I've done a lot of engineering, a little bit of mixing, but primarily just engineering our recordings. Because that's a new skill set I've kind of leaned into since the pandemic, is learning how to record. So those are the two main projects that are bands that I'm committed to. I play with a bunch of different singer-songwriters: Laura Segaris, Bobby Thompson, Drew Gibson, and the list goes on. But those, and Grief Cat, and those artists are projects where they might do a lot of solo gigs or duo gigs and not really need a drummer. Or, even if they do generally have a drummer for every gig, I might not be the only drummer. I might not even be the first drummer they call, and that's fine. And so I consider those to be, even though some of those folks I have a longer history with than like Ari or GXB. Like I've been playing with Laura Segaris for coming up on 10 years now. And so even though she's a very close friend, like I'm basically a hired gun for that band. You know what I mean? It's the name on the poster is not even usually like Laura Segaris Band. It's Laura Segaris, first name, last name. It's her stuff. She writes the songs. She makes all the decisions. She funds everything. So as a sideman, as a drummer and accompanist, it's nice to have a mix of those projects, because when you're doing nothing but invested creative projects, it's a huge time demand, and you don't always make much money. You don't always make any money.
If it was for the money, why would you do it?
Well, sure, that's a whole different conversation. Yeah. But with the mercenary projects, it's just different, because you can show up and just be the drummer, in my case, and not really have to worry about promoting or organizing rehearsals or doing social media all the things that are kind of have fallen in the lap of the musician now, because
of the 2025 musician. It used to not be like that.
Yeah, I mean,
back in the 80s, the 90s.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since. Yeah, but what's interesting about that is I think for musicians trying to create their own opportunities, I think that mix of creativity and having to just do the grunt work has always been there. And they talk about even people like James Brown, was just an incredible workaholic and an incredibly shrewd business person because he had to be. On top of being really creative and an incredible performer and everything we know him to be.
Was different at the time.
Sure, yeah.
I love James Brown, dude.
Yeah, man.
Big fan.
I mean, a problematic person when it comes to how he treated his partners.
Oh yes.
But
I was talking about his music.
Yeah. I mean, the influence cannot be overestimated. So yeah, those are the projects I'm involved with right now.
Dude, that's amazing. Do you have any shows that are coming up soon in the area? Or
Oh,
I guess for the
probably, yeah.
Or like any like things that you're musically that you're really okay. Sorry, may I ask a different question?
Sure.
For the young musician that is going on the road for the first time, say maybe, or they're getting more gigs now and things are changing for them, what advice do you have to those kids to maybe give them a little, little nugget of gold of knowledge, of wisdom, for the road or
for the road,
for life as a musician,
That's a tough one. Somebody else was just asking me that just the other night.
Everybody wants wisdom.
A student's parent. Well, so I think everybody has to decide their own path and their own threshold for what's the word I'm looking for? How they want to divide up their time and their energy. Because I know people, I went and saw a clinic, Bill Potts, jazz saxophone player, gave a clinic where to a whole room of music majors in a college, and said, and many of them were education majors, right? And somebody asked him the same question, like, "What advice do you have?" He said, "Don't have a plan B." And of course, like a hush goes over the room because like half the people in there were like, does he mean me? Like, because many people would look at teaching music instead of playing music as sort of a fallback or like a safe thing, right? He said, don't have a plan B because making a living as a musician is so hard that if you have a plan B, you're always going to fall back on it. And I thought once I wrapped my head around that, I was like, wow, right? And I know people who approach things that way. And I have for certain periods of my life also kind of embraced that philosophy to various levels where I've just said no to things that I knew were a fallback, because I knew that if I just kept my eyes on the prize and just put all my time and energy into really, I don't really see teaching as a fallback because it's really hard for me to tease apart all the different facets of what I do as a musician, performing, teaching, recording. It's all part of the same thing for me. And then the other side of that coin is that some people will say that when music is your job, you're going to come at it from a place that's not pure, because you're going to be thinking about, I have to do this in a way where it will help me pay rent.
That kind of job. Got it.
Right?
Yeah, you got it.
And I think there's some wisdom to that too, because people who approach it that way maybe they'll be a real estate agent and they'll go show houses and sell a house every once in a while. And has nothing to do with music, but it feeds them literally so that when they go to play, it can be just about the music. And so, and I've known people that have vacillated, right? I know a guy who, when he first started out, he refused to do any covers, even when he was just starting. And some people would be like, dude, why don't you do covers? It gets the crowd into it. He's like, because I feel like if I put any energy into that at all, then that's energy like I could have spent writing my own song or playing my own song. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
May I say something?
Yeah.
People like that have to understand that it's not about them.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
People come to the show.
Mm-hmm.
I go to shows to dance. You know?
Yeah.
I want to play guitar. Like, I know how to play guitar, but I go to actually dance.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about what happened yesterday.
Right.
I want to be there.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody can give me that, I will give you monies, and I will dance real hard at your show. And I'll buy a shirt.
Yeah.
Like, true story.
Yep.
It's what music is about, man.
Yeah.
It's not about the person. The vessel is what? A portal that music can come here through?
Yeah.
Thank you, music, for being with us. Like, that's true music, dude. The reality of the matter is, like, all these musicians that, like, and you ask Jimi Hendrix about being the best guitar player ever, R.I.P. Jimi Hendrix. And he was like, no, man. How about I'm just the best guitar player sitting in this chair right here?
Yeah.
That part.
I love that. Yeah. I've had that conversation with people where a lot of people really like superlatives, and I get it. Like, especially best.
Best, got it.
Right?
Oh, super. Got it.
Yeah. Like, you know, if somebody asks you, you know, do you think that you're the best guitarist here, or do you think you're the best drummer in blah blah blah? And my answer was always like, I don't know, but I'm the drummer who's on stage right now. That's good enough for me. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I've known people who refused to play covers at the beginning of their career.
Right.
And then
I was one of them.
Sure, I've been there too. And then 10, 15 years later, they do cover gigs under a different name because they would rather do that to pay rent than push paper at a desk. And then because they do that to pay rent, that's how they support themselves. And then in their free time, they can really spend their time and their energy where they want to. So I don't know. I think all I would do is, you know, when somebody asks me for advice like that, I don't think there's one answer for everybody. There's definitely not one answer for everybody. And the same person can have a similar journey where they can find that for them, being super pure about it and saying, I'm not going to play anybody else's music. I'm not going to take a desk job. I'm just going to see what I can do, put all my time and energy into music. I think that's really admirable. It's difficult. But other people might choose the other route, and I think that's fine too. I just think you have to know what's right for you, you know?